everybody. I'm Jennifer Tryon. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. You're catching me still trimming scraps. You are, if you've been tuning in, we've been doing lots of organizing in January. And now that it's February, we're on a free February kick. So we're going to be doing projects all month that help us use up our scraps. And I'm not saying, I own a quilt shop, fabric store, so I'm not saying free, no spend. Maybe you need the odd thing, but it's important to use up what we've got too. Let's be clear. So tonight, given that Valentine's Day is just around the corner, I thought I would do a very cute project. I'm not working from any pattern or any book or anything like that. A lot of getting organized in January was using the Scrappiness is Happiness book, which I love. And you can see I've got my pieces here that are, similar lengths, which has been really helpful for this project. But what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to put a bunch of scraps together. You can see I've started this one already because it takes a little while to quilt them, but this will be the kind of finished one. I'm just putting scraps together on this foam stabilizer. And this is just sew on, it's not fusible. And I've just been putting all of these scraps together and quilting them straight lines as I go. Sort of inspired by Minky Kim. If you've been in any of our homemade events, she's very famous on YouTube for doing lots of these kinds of techniques. Basically just getting all these scraps together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some heart-shaped placemats. And obviously this will, be great for Valentine's Day and maybe, a little the week before, a week after Valentine's Day, and the kids will love them and it'll make the table look super cute. They love coming down in the morning and there's a little bit of a to-do on Valentine's Day. Even though they're getting older, they still love that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, this is a great way to use up scraps. And so I've got one kind of on the go here, and I'm going to start another one with you guys now. So what I'm going to do, we can get started, is get cleared off here. You're going to want to make sure that you have some, I'll give you over, there we go. So foam stabilizer. You're going to want lots of little fabric scraps in all kinds of different sizes, but that look good together, sort of all in the same kind of colorway. So for Valentine's, lots of reds and pinks and soft kind of cute. That's what's gonna, I think, look great here. You're gonna want a rotary cutter, your scissors, some, rulers, basic cutting supplies, and of course your sewing machine. And when you're starting a project like this, I like to draw out on a template, this is basically what the shape of the placemat's going to look like. So with my pencil, this isn't going to be our final line, but it's going to basically ensure that I fill the scraps in past this line. That way, when we cut it out, I know we've got enough. So just draw that on there. And then let's just start by placing down our first scrap. And I'm going to go over top of where I'm going to cut because I want it to make sure I can cut that out and have it fit. And then let's bring the next scrap in. I'm going to do this one nice and big so that it doesn't take too long to do. So you're going to go right sides together on the fabric, and we're going to just sew along this line here. And it's going to all make sense in just a second. I'm going to sew with the lock stitch on at the beginning so everything stays. I'm not back stitching, but I do want it to stay secure. And then I'm just going to lock it at the end too. And so then when I open this up, it's already on here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and quilt down with lines this first patch. And I'm just using the presser foot as the guide. So get one line in. Another one in here. And essentially, I'm going to just go through this entire thing, and I'm going to straight line quilt each patch. So you can kind of see by the time you get to, getting them all on here, you can see I went straight down here and I went this way for these ones. Once you get one row down, feel free to go ahead and put a bunch of scraps together, sort of like this. You can put a bunch of scraps together. And that way you can lay down not such big pieces, but you really get a scrappy effect. This is why it's great when you're organizing your scraps for them all to be similar size. Then we're not having to do any extra cutting here. So I'll just finish this one off versus do the whole other one. I just wanted to see how you get started. And let's just we're going to make sure we have enough to fill this entire last bit. Okay. And then we're going to go right sides together here. I'll just make sure that those seams are pressed down first. And so right sides together. And I'll sew this last line on. Let me know where you're tuning in from tonight. I always love knowing where you guys are, and whether or not you've attempted to do any organizing of your creative spaces. It's always something in the new year that people are always resolving to do, myself included, obviously. Okay. So now I'm going to flip this one down, give it a finger press, and then again, so I'll sew across this time and quilt it down. When you do it, start by basically top stitching down the line that you just sewed on. That way your piece is nice and flattened for the rest of the quilting. You could even stitch in the ditch, but you don't have to. Just a top stitch is fine. And so I'm just straight line quilting. This foam stabilizer is great because it really kind of pops the quilting up like it's thick. And it pops it right up. It's really nice. And one last row here. And it's funny how all of this just like you know, I started this just a little before. Basically, I took out my red scrap bin and continued sorting the reds and just pulled it out. And now this looks like a beautiful patchwork when really they were all just crumpled in here, and started to get them sorted, started to get them, you know, going. And I love seeing it all come together like a new, like it's a whole new sheet of fabric. You know what I mean? Looks cute. Okay, so now that I've got all of the heart line like filled in, let me just make sure it's big enough here. We're not going to lose any. Looks good. So I'm basically going to trace this again. And you could use disappearing ink if you had a disappearing ink pen. I'm just using a regular pencil because I'm going to cut on this line, so I'm not too worried about it staying. And I'm going to, there, oh, I needed a little thicker there. So it will take you a little while to, you know, get all the patches down and all of that sewing done. And rather than just make you watch me do it the whole time, you get what I'm doing. You're laying it down right sides together and folding over, you know, similar sized pieces, right sides together. Just be sure that you're not trying to avoid having any raw edges. So keep similar sized things till the end so that you can fold over and then bring it over again to avoid having any raw edges. So then next up, what we're going to do is put some fabric on the back. And I just chose a red fat quarter, you know, for Valentine's. And a little spray adhesive on the back. That's just going to glue that down. Or if you have fusible foam stabilizer, sometimes you can get it with iron-on the back, then you could use that too. So I'm just going to put that on. This is coming together fast. Well, that's because I did so much of the quilting ahead of time. And I do still need to sew this down here too. I mean, I could have quilted all the lines in the back, but you can see here, these lines don't look all that uniform all the time. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew top stitch around the edge. This just needs a little bit more. Touch it with the iron. Yeah, that'll help a little too. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've got that heart-shaped line on here. Let's put this out of the way for a minute. I'm going to take a pair of pinking shears, and you could, if you wanted, you could just cut this regular and you could put a binding around it if you want. But I'm going to cut it with the pinking shears and I'm going to just leave it. The pinking shears kind of give it a cute homemade look. And I always find whenever I've ever tried to bind something that's heart-shaped, this part in the middle almost impossible to do. So I'm saving myself that, and I'm going to just cut this out. Actually, what I probably should do first, now that I'm thinking of it, is I should probably top stitch around here first, but I've already started cutting, so I'm just going to go with it. So you might top stitch this down before. I actually think I probably should, but oh, you know me, just racing. All right, I'm just gonna go with it. Well, no, let's top stitch it. Let's top stitch it. That way, at least I know it's nice and secure down there. So let's bring this back to the machine. We okay shot-wise? I just moved this. Sorry. Even though I've already cut that, it's no big deal. Don't be afraid to stop mid-project and, you know, redirect if you have to. Okay, I'm going to just start at the little center point, and I'm going to sew on 1/4 inch from that line. And I'm going to actually do triple stitch, and I'm going to lengthen it so it's a little longer. And I was quilting with Deco Bob so that you really didn't see the thread. I'm going to go ahead and put like straight up cotton thread in my machine now, which is thicker than Deco Bob, much thicker. It's a 50 weight cotton instead of the 80 weight. And so in it goes. Needle threader. Okay, so I'm using triple stitch just to thicken things up because we'll see this stitch, and so it'll be a little more prominent then. Get that out of the way. And I'm just keeping the edge of the presser foot right along that pencil line. And where I've already cut, obviously I'm keeping the edge of the presser foot right along where I cut. So I kind of think I'll make each of the kids one of these, maybe even me and my husband one too, and then the whole table can be set with the heart placemats. If you didn't want to cut them into hearts, you could just be scrappy and do a table runner and quilt it. But I just thought this was a little bit of a different spin. It's a little bit faster to come together because okay, I'm at that point of the heart, so I'm just kind of coming up. And that triple stitch looks so nice. I'll show you a close-up of it in just a second. Triple stitch is, I think, my favorite top stitch. It just looks so finished and polished. Anyway, I just think that using the foam stabilizer here is like a little bit of a different take on something that's quilted. It doesn't take as long because you're not having to like sandwich everything and bind it. We're just cutting. And so you can make these like really, really quickly. I kind of had some visions of like maybe doing just a big scrappy top, cutting out the hearts, and then putting it on the long arm and quilting them all at once, like all 5 of them. All right, we're coming around to the point again. And I'm going to press the lock stitch button. The lock stitch is going to tie it off without back stitching. All right, let's see if we can get a nice close-up shot. I'll do it on this side where you can see how how nice the triple stitch is. Yeah, we might have to move out a little. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So that triple stitch looks so nice and thick. I'll turn it over so you can see it on the front too. You can really see it coming around the corner there. That triple stitch just looks so nice. So when let's pair that with our pinked edge here. And it kind of feels like this is the kind of thing that you would see like on Pinterest or on Etsy and go like, oh, that's so cute. And you really can make them so quickly. And it's using up your scraps. And I'm also like looking at this going like, I remember why I bought this one, and I remember this project, and I remember that came in that bundle. That's why I think scrap projects are so fun too, is you're always remembering like what you originally made with them. And, because this is a Valentine's Day project, you're only going to bring this out like once a year, but that's fine. It's cute to have something like that, inexpensive, that you can just pull out and give your home and your table just like a little bit of a nice feel, All right. Definitely glad I did the sewing around. My pinking shears could be a little sharper. If you wanted to, you could put a little pocket in the front for a little Valentine. Obviously, I thought of that idea too late because that's cute. Look. And just plain on the back, you'd be able to throw it in the wash if anyone spilled. You could use it on either side. Get rid of any little stray threads. Okay, this could not be cuter. I love it. What do you guys think? Yeah, if we make a whole bunch of them, and I love that the heart's kind of fat and like wide. And so your plate can kind of go in the middle here, your cup, fork and knife. And I think that'll look very, very cute. So, yeah, let me know what you think, and whether or not you attempt something like this. You can definitely show if you do it. I definitely want to see it. Join our Facebook group, the Homemade with Jennifer Try-On Facebook group. And if you're making any scrappy projects along with me this February, please post them in there. I'd love to see it. And, this is something that you could make up yourself in about an hour. It took me just about a half an hour to finish this one. I'd say an hour to put on all the scraps. And yeah, it's easy and fun and, a great way to use up your scraps. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have more projects as February continues. Free February. Use up what you've got here at Homemade. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.